shipper update on a Wednesday, middle of the week. Let's get some macroeconomic updates. Anthony Smith, what do you got?
That's right. So Wednesday this morning, just about 33 minutes ago, if you're watching live, we got the job openings report, and that showed that there were 11.3 million individuals or job openings available for individuals out there. And so that is more openings than there are individuals. So that is, of course, one of those things to look at here. The previous month got an upward revision, I believe, to 11.5. So this was a slight edge down, but not by much. So Zach, this is still very much elevated. We're still seeing that there is tons of jobs out there. There's still a lot of demand happening. And so this is going to be one of those consumer conditions to watch closely, because I always kind of talk about it. Yes, we have to look at wages. We have to look at household. What's the net there? What's the wealth looking like going on there? What's going on, of course, with inflation, but really what's happening with those conditions for being able to find labor, and the confidence of going out there is like, you know what? This role has been enough for me. I'm going to see what else is out there. So what we're seeing right now, job openings still very much elevated.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where we're talking about supply and demand kind of in reverse of what's historically been the case, where there's more jobs available than there are people willing to take them. Like, what do you think this is going to help us combat enough inflation, or you think inflation is still kind of outpacing this at the moment?
Inflation is still outpacing us right at the moment, and I think when you kind of look back to, I think it was November, December, one of the things I said, I don't think we've seen the true bite of inflation just yet, and I think now we're starting to kind of see some of that come to fruition, especially with the unforeseen events happening, and well, somewhat unforeseen events happening in Ukraine and Russia, depending on which time frame you're looking at here, but that's really having some implications as well. We just kind of chatted with Daniel Stanton talking about what's going on with gas prices, what's going on with oil, what's going on with other items. And so I think right now we're going to start to see other factors enter the inflationary pressure builder that's been happening over the last year plus that we weren't really considering before. Now, of course, oil and gas, those were kind of creeping up before this conflict happened. Now we're seeing this really kind of exacerbate that overall. And Zach, one of the other big things that's coming up is going to be the interest rates meeting that's going to be happening as well. And the big thing that I always talk about is don't just increase interest rates because inflation's high. You have to also take into account if the economy is going to be able to take those rate increases. And so right now we're seeing that, hey, if I'm in San Francisco, I'm paying, Kaylee mentioned, I think it was like $6 to $7 at the pump, or if I'm elsewhere paying $5, I think I got myself a deal. Is this going to be the spot where the consumer is going to be able to take on some of those hits? Now, it's not going to hit the consumers directly or, right away, but it's going to be one of those things that can start to make its way meaningfully to the consumers. When you look at some companies or some businesses that really hinge on interest rates being low, and they've been able to grow throughout this expansionary period, you think of, maybe they're a mortgage company, something like that. Maybe they're going to start peeling back on those jobs. Now, they're starting to see some separations happen as well.
Yeah, you're making a great point. It's kind of like, the impact of gas prices and elevating has this, disproportionate impact to certain business units. Yeah. So when you increase those the interest rates, that impacts everybody pretty evenly. But then when you start to see this natural kind of pressure, especially the price of gas and fuel, combat inflation in a different way, like, do you think they take that into account during this meeting?
I think they'll have to, and I have to give a lot of credit to Jerome Powell and the chair on this one, because one of the things that they mentioned was that they're going to be very reactive and really be responsive to the current economic environment. They're going to be saying, hey, all right, we can skip this rate increase, or we can go a little bit aggressive, or we can let off a little bit. So I think that's going to be one of the big things that they have to hold true to, is really being able to be reactionary to real-time data points and not just say, hey, it's this date, we got to meet this point, and that is what it is. So I think if they continue down that road, I think we should be in decent shape.
Yeah, because we've got food prices going up as well, and that's something that's out of control because it's a commodity shortage. Just like the gas situation, a commodity shortage, not necessarily consumers needing to get tamped down because they're spending too much. These are staples that we're talking about inflating naturally that should kind of dampen that goods demand that we've seen drive the economy, right?
That's exactly right. And the other big thing that we can't really lose too much sight on is, of course, the extras that the Americans always love, and that's going to be, hey, I need new appliances, I need new electronics. Right. those start to slow down because when we start to see the order of operations, we're not going to stop buying groceries. We're going to start kind of peeling back layer by layer. And once we kind of peel back layer by layer, it's only going to be a matter of time until that first layer is going to be some of those fancy goods, some of those fancy electronics that start first.
Yeah, those luxury items. Well, thank you so much, Anthony Smith. We're going to toss to a quick break, but we'll be right back.